Mia sits at a sports bar on a Sunday afternoon, surrounded by people screaming at a TV screen. Mia checks her phone. She scrolls through Instagram while everyone around her jumps out of the seats. A guy next to her spills beer on the floor, yelling at a referee who can't hear him. Mia looks up, confused. She doesn't feel the adrenaline. She doesn't feel the rage. She just feels nothing. And then comes the question she's heard 1,000 times. Wait, you don't watch the game? If this sounds like your experience at every Super Bowl party, every March Madness gathering, every Monday morning water cooler conversation where everyone dissects last night's stats and you're just standing there pretending to care, you're not broken. You're not missing some critical human gene. Your brain is just wired for a different kind of tribal belonging. And today, we're going to explain exactly why some people can spend 4 hours analyzing a quarterback spiral while you'd rather do literally anything else. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do humans obsess over sports in the first place? The answer takes us back 50,000 years. Your ancestors didn't have the NFL. They had survival. And survival required one critical skill, the ability to identify your tribe and defend it against outsiders. When your group killed a mammoth, you celebrated together. When another tribe threatened your resources, you fought together. Your brain released oxytocin during group victories and cortisol during group threats. This neurochemical cocktail created something powerful, us versus them. Fast forward to modern society, we don't hunt mammoths anymore. We don't fight neighboring tribes for water sources. But your brain still craves that tribal identity. It still wants to wear the colors, chant the chants, feel the collective euphoria of victory and the collective devastation of defeat. For millions of people, sports became the perfect substitute. It's tribalism without the actual danger. It's war without the casualties. You get to experience the neurochemical high of belonging to something bigger than yourself, and all you have to do is buy a jersey and show up on game day. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone's brain responds to this substitute the same way. Some people watch a basketball game and their amygdala lights up like the 4th of July. Their heart rate increases, their palms sweat, they're physiologically invested. Other people, the ones who don't obsess over sports, watch the exact same game and their brain barely registers it as significant. The difference isn't about intelligence or social skills. It's about what your specific brain has learned to categorize as meaningful. If you're someone who doesn't care about sports, chances are high that your early environment didn't condition you to associate athletic competition with emotional reward. Maybe your parents didn't watch games. Maybe you were never on a team where winning felt like life or death. Maybe you found your tribal belonging somewhere else, in book clubs, in gaming communities, in theater, in activism, in academic debates. Your brain still craves connection and shared identity. You just found it in an arena that didn't involve a scoreboard. And here's the part that sports fanatics don't always understand. Your indifference isn't a choice you're making to be contrarian. You can't force your amygdala to care. You can't manufacture oxytocin release by pretending to be excited about a three-pointer. When you watch a game and feel nothing, it's because your brain's reward system hasn't been trained to assign value to that particular form of competition. It's the same reason some people cry at movies and others don't. It's the same reason some people get chills from classical music and others need heavy metal. We're all wired for emotional response, but the triggers are personalized based on experience and exposure. Let's talk about the social cost of not caring, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. In American culture especially, sports are the default language of casual male bonding. If you're a guy who doesn't follow football, you've probably felt the silence at a barbecue when someone asks, "Did you catch the game last night?" And you have to say, "No." You've probably felt the subtle exclusion when your coworkers spend 30 minutes debating draft picks and you have nothing to contribute. This isn't just awkward. For your brain, it registers as mild social rejection. And social rejection, even mild, triggers the same neural pathways as physical pain. Women who don't care about sports often face a different flavor of judgment. Sometimes it's assumed that not caring is the default for women, which is condescending. Other times, women who genuinely don't care are pressured to perform interest anyway, because it's seen as a way to connect with male partners or coworkers. Either way, the message is clear. Not caring about sports makes you an outsider in certain spaces, and human brains are hardwired to avoid being outsiders.
So what do you do if you're stuck in a culture that treats sports fandom as a prerequisite for social inclusion? First, you stop apologizing for your brain. You're not defective. You're not missing out on some universal human experience. You're just experiencing tribalism through a different channel. Second, you find your people. The ones who get just as hyped about a new album drop, a season finale, a scientific breakthrough, a political debate, or a perfectly executed Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Your brain still needs that collective effervescence, that shared identity. You just need to find the arena where it happens for you. Third, you develop 1 or 2 sports-related conversation fallbacks for survival purposes. You don't have to become a fanatic, but learning the bare minimum, like who won the Super Bowl or that the World Series is baseball, not football, can smooth over those awkward Monday morning moments. Think of it as social lubrication, not genuine interest. You're not being fake, you're being strategic. Now let's address the elephant in the room. The people who do obsess over sports sometimes look at you like you're an alien. They genuinely cannot comprehend how you can feel nothing while watching a championship game. And from their perspective, it makes sense. Their brain is flooded with dopamine when their team scores. Yours isn't. To them, it's like you're watching a sunset and reporting that you see no colors. They're not trying to be jerks. They're just experiencing a completely different neurochemical reality than you are. But here's the twist. You probably have something you obsess over that they find utterly baffling. Maybe you can spend 3 hours debating the best way to brew coffee. Maybe you have opinions about font kerning. Maybe you've watched the same TV show 7 times and you're planning an eighth rewatch. To someone who doesn't share your interest, that looks just as irrational as their sports obsession looks to you. We all have our thing, the thing that makes our brain light up, the thing that gives us a sense of mastery, belonging, or emotional release. For some people, it's sports. For you, it's something else. And that's completely fine. Here's the deeper truth that nobody talks about. American culture has elevated sports to a quasi-religious status. We build billion-dollar stadiums. We schedule our lives around game times. We teach children that being good at sports is more valuable than being good at art or math. This isn't universal. In other cultures, the collective obsession might be food or music or family lineage. We just happen to live in a society that chose sports as one of its primary bonding rituals. And if you don't connect with that ritual, it's easy to feel like you're on the outside looking in. But you're not broken. You're not missing some critical human component. You're just someone whose brain finds meaning and connection in a different place. And the sooner you stop trying to force yourself to care about something that doesn't resonate, the sooner you can invest that energy into the things that actually make your brain release the good chemicals. Life's too short to pretend to be excited about a game you don't care about. Find your stadium, find your team, find the thing that makes you feel alive, and let the sports fans have theirs. Because at the end of the day, we're all just looking for the same thing, a reason to feel like we belong. Some of us find it in a stadium, some of us find it somewhere else, and both are completely valid ways to be human.